We are 7 crore Karnataka people today. What if everybody is losing 1 rupee per day? Forget about 1 rupee, 50 paise. So where is it going? The cyber crime is existing. They are making money, but we are nowhere. And we are not even bothering ourselves or the bank talking about this or addressing these things. This is in my bank. And you're purchasing something on online, say vegetables, your daily groceries, something. And if there is a change of 1 rupee in the billing, you're least bothered.
Mm.
So I'm losing the money over there. Let us come to medical. I am ordering the medicine from an app which is not been licensed.
Mm.
And they are sending me the medicine which has a different chemical combination than my doctor has advised.
Mm.
And the app says this is the best app. And app says this is the best medicine. As with the rating, blah, blah, blah. I'm taking that and which is harming my health. So that's there it goes with the health. Let us come to the mental. That is our mental stress. People are more dependent on the social network. Today I'm posting saying that Chayaji is having the interview with me. I'm not getting enough of likes or the comments. I'm depressed.
Okay. Oh my God. Okay.
So, mental depression, it's depending on the cyberspace. Let us get into more detail on, say, the medical. Today, one of my friend has been operated and he has the pacemaker which is being inserted in his body. I can control the pacemaker. If I don't like my friend, I can kill him by hacking the pacemaker.
Ooh.
So, whom you're going to
That's
blame?
inside.
Yes, of course. Whom you're going to
That's
blame?
something which is inside the body.
Yes, very much.
Oh my God.
So, whom you're going to blame? Is it your doctor,
The pacemaker
or your hospital?
or the
I could
hacker.
the hacker. Anyways, you are not going to figure out the hacker. So there I have the problem. Then at all these things, I'll say that let me go ahead and concentrate on going to other places and use my favorite car. My cars are having lot of IoTs. If somebody is not interested with me or who doesn't like me, can hack my IoT in my car and take my car away or take me also away with my car.
What is IoT?
IoT is Internet of Things. That is your car. IoT is what you are having in your car. That means you are using the remote control to open the door. You
Yeah.
connect your phone to your car. Having lot of facilities like if you are sitting in other city also, you can open the door of your car using your phone.
Yeah, correct.
So those are all called IoTs, and those are all hackable.
Ooh.
So my devices are hackable, my phones are hackable, my data is being running round the globe. Some nonsense guy calls me saying that Shubha, do you want a credit card, debit card? So where is he getting my data? I don't know.
I also wonder every time I get a call, do you want a loan? I said, yeah, I'll take a loan, but don't expect me to return it. And they keep the call.
True. Somebody is picking your photo on online because you have posted it. Somebody is masquerading it and posting it somewhere else. Me as somebody else. Somebody hacks my Facebook. So what is that which is secured in the cyberspace which we are using? I
Nothing.
see nothing because we are not even concentrating. Because today we are using an advanced version of ACs and refrigerators where I can operate them through my phone. So don't you think the hacker can go ahead and get the access of my refrigerator and hack my network? Yes, it is possible. My TVs are having the lot of IoTs involved. My TV is hackable, and we do have the cases where the TV was hacked and the audio of the couple were recorded and they were used for something else. So, what are we doing? What are we waiting for? Because as a common man, I want all the work that needs to be eased for me. I want remote controlled car. I want something which can be operated through internet. Everything is fine. But how much of
And I want,
security?
and I want Alexa and Siri to get me this
Alexa,
number,
yes.
this number, give me this.
Alexa, yes. Alexa
Alexa
and
knows everything.
yes, she knows everything about you. And when Alexa is sitting at home or your Google Home is sitting at home, it will be collecting all your information with you. Will be collecting all your other talks, whatever you are not talking to Alexa also. So how much we know about it? Zero. And do you think your phone is very secured because you are not switching on and you are keeping it switching off?
She
Array.
scared us so much. I'm scared to touch my phone. I'm scared to post on Facebook. I'm scared to go to Google. What do I do? How do I protect myself, Shubha? How do I protect? Tell me that.
Exactly. That is where you can take our services. One is, yes, of course, you need to get the awareness because it is mandatory. You want to use the mobile phone, then you need to know what is the safety measures you have to take, not for myself, for your sake. You want to secure your family? Yes, you need to know how you are supposed to secure them and yourself. And at the end of the day, securing the nation is our responsibility because we are posting all nonsense on the Facebook and showing the world that we don't have the security at all. The best and the worst example I ever take here is when our Abhinandan was caught in Pakistan. I still remember the day when everybody started posting what is his full name, what's his wife name, where is house in Chennai, what's his kid's name, what is the house color, what is his bike number. What are we trying to do? Is it Facebook only meant for India? Is it only Indians who are going ahead and checking our status? Why are we going ahead and posting all things which are so sensitive and which needs to be kept ourselves to secure our nation? Are we not having little bit of common sense? What kind of patriotism we are showing there? Am I telling that this is where Abhinandan wife is? Why don't you go ahead and catch her also? Is it that what I'm trying to do? So is it not my responsibility to know that there is something called cyber ethics? Because I have seen a lot of people who post about their friend saying that my friend is traveling to London for 1 week, showing that the robber is saying that there will be no person in his house for next 1 week. You do whatever you want. Is that what I am going ahead and telling on the Facebook or Instagram or wherever it is? So ethics, that is something what we have to follow, saying that if I don't have the permission from the other person, I'm not supposed to post anything about her or him on my social network. Securing myself, I need to know where I'm using my phones, what kind of applications I'm downloading. Because when I'm down the application, don't you think about one simple mantra? That is why somebody else is creating an app free for me.
Okay, I'm going to
Because,
stop here.
yes,
Shubha, I have to stop here because the clock is telling me my time is up. But
out.
the takeaway from this show is that be careful. Take care of your safety, the cyber safety.
Yes.
Yes, you can get in touch with Shubha Mangala later. Listen to this Sochcast recording also if you haven't seen it online.
Thank you for tuning into Power Women Unplugged. Don't forget to tune in every Friday for more candid conversations with powerful women. Remember, your voice is your power. Unleash your power with Sochcast.
Sneaky squeak on the polished floor. You twirl a bag from the second store, laughing loud in the escalator glow. We got nowhere to be, so take it slow. Trying on shades we can't afford, taking our time like
want your shadow, drawing circles on my skin. This is joy right here, breathing you in, breathing you near. All this noise falls thin when it's sunrise on our skin. Hands in the air, no plan, just your heartbeat in my hands. If this is all we ever will, I'll take sunrise on our skin.
We don't need permission. We don't need permission. We don't need permission. Everybody say they got something. What do you want from me? I don't know. It's not what you think. We got something. What do you want from me? I don't know. We don't need permission. 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 We don't need permission, and we don't need permission. No, we don't need permission. We don't need permission. Everybody say that we want some fame. If you want something, why do you want from me? I don't know, it's not what you think. If you want something, why do you want from me? I don't. We don't need permission. 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 We don't need permission.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ 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 ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಏನ್ರಿ ಮುರಳಿ, ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಏನು ಇವತ್ತು? ಸೋಮವಾರದ ವಿಶೇಷ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಎಸ್ ಸೋಮವಾರ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ವಾರದ ಮೊದಲನೇ ದಿನ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದಂಥ ಕೆಲಸಗಳು ನಡೆಯುವಂಥ ಸಮಯ. ವಾರ ಶುರು ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಶನಿವಾರ ಭಾನುವಾರ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜಾಲಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೋಮವಾರ ಕೆಲಸಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಕೆಲಸ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮಜವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಮಜವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಕೆಲಸನೂ ಕೂಡ ಮಜವಾಗಿರಬೇಕು. ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ತುಂಬ ಜನ ಮುರಳಿಯವರೇ ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಸೋಣ. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಗುಡ್ಡಾ?
I don't know. We don't need permission. We don't need permission. permission. Everybody say, 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 everybody say.
More than radio, it's your circle. Campus Gal Radio.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this station. Content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered specific advice. The station is not responsible for the accuracy of guest statements.
My name's Felicia Danani.
Hi, and I'm Shivani Malhotra.
As two Indian women, one born in the US
And one born in India.
and both of us from culturally charged backgrounds, we came into our marriages with the intention not to fail. But when we were faced with reality, we had to look inward.
Our motive is to deconstruct generational cycles and conditioning around divorce. Divorce is not an ending, but a change in the relationship. It does not have to follow old stigmas. It can be whatever you want it to be based on your intention. This is our life guide to a conscious divorce.
Welcome to the Lioness Pride podcast.
Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of the Lioness Pride podcast. Last week, we spoke to Sultana Ali, and what a special episode that was, and a beautiful representation of how we are all on this journey towards being more of ourselves and finding that true alignment where our words, thoughts, and our actions just flow in unison with integrity and authenticity. So to take this conversation one step further and deeper this week, we will be diving into vulnerability and surrender. Felicia, hello.
Hi, Shivani. How are you?
Good. So what does vulnerability and surrender have to do with all of this and what we've been talking about in conscious divorce?
Yeah, so this is really what I say the core and the essence of how we begin to move forward. So a few episodes ago, we talked about the mask that we wear and how some of our belief systems and patterns have created situations for us to wear these masks in our life. So we can feel like we fit in and we are playing certain roles. And for us to show up in our true nature and live in integrity, like we had talked about, we must remove these masks. And in doing that, that is being vulnerable, and that is surrendering to the situation, that is surrendering to our true nature. So much of our lives go into seeking approval and validation and praise from other people. But in doing that, we abandon ourselves and we really take away these opportunities for us to be truly vulnerable, not just with the world, but vulnerable with who we are, with ourselves. And that's really where it starts. It's said, vulnerability is the roadmap to connection. It allows us to support ourselves in not just our joy, but in our pain. So that's really where it has to start. And that's why I think today is going to be such a rich conversation for us, because now that we have moved through this journey with all of you, we're now really going to get into where do we go from here? How do we start growing and building from this place of kind of pain and witnessing, but now we get to grow through that.
So is vulnerability really just accepting yourself completely in the moment? The pretty and the not so pretty, would that be a representation of vulnerability for somebody who doesn't know maybe how vulnerability shows up?
So I think you hit on a key fact. So it is about acceptance, and I think more so awareness, right? Like nobody wants to accept that something shitty is happening to us. However, first starting with the awareness. Yes, this is happening, right? There is some acceptance in the awareness and the acknowledgement of it. And from that, we start to go, how do I feel about this? What is coming up for me? Living in truth. And that starts by asking ourselves these questions and truly being honest with where we're at without the masks, without the the belief systems and all those things that we've already talked about.
So it's really allowing ourselves to really feel versus blocking those feelings that may not feel so good, right?
Right. We by in nature want to run from those negative feelings. We want to run when we feel shame and when we feel abandoned. And yes, we want to, armor up for that. And this is feeling it. Yes, absolutely.
Got it.
Now, let me ask you, why do you think practicing vulnerability is so hard and that numbing out is just an easier way to go? And how can we start to lean into these discomforting feelings?
I don't even know where to start with that question. But let me start with why numbing out is easier. I mean, it's easier because it's an escape from what we have labeled as bad feelings. And if something doesn't go our way and we feel, quote, bad, we can shop or drink or smoke or eat our way out of those feelings instead of feeling the depth of whatever it is we're feeling and whatever that feeling may be. Is it insecurity? Is it fear? Is it jealousy? Is it anger? Feeling some of these emotions are not easy because we don't feel good, right? And we'd like to feel good practically all of the time if it was our choice, and we think we can control that. And practicing being vulnerable, open and honest and less than perfect is scary for all of us. It's much easier to escape our emotions than feel them fully. And I can relate to this. I know I developed this numbing strategy as a way to deal with my parents' divorce when I was young. And it kept me safe at the time. But I didn't realize that over time, it would also keep me disconnected from myself and what I was feeling. We learned from Lynette and Jim in one of the previous episodes that emotions are valuable. And there is no such thing as a negative emotion. All emotions provide us with information we need to understand ourselves and our needs and our intentions better. And when we shut off that, we are actually shutting down a very important feedback mechanism, right? Don't you think?
Yes. And I love what you say about how when we label these emotions, so something that doesn't feel good is bad and something that feels good is good. And it doesn't necessarily work that way, because when we can shift the perspective and go, in actuality, the stuff that doesn't feel good is really what teaches us the most. That's really, our golden nuggets in life. And if we were able to just lean into them, ask ourselves these deeper questions to learn why they're coming up for us, those are really the game changers.
So right. I'm so with you on that. And I really feel passionate about this, especially how we raise our kids, and exposing them to some of this discomfort in their experiences versus trying to shield them from discomfort, right? Because what we're doing is creating resilience in those moments of exposing ourselves to discomfort, like you said.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And I think as a mom, and you know this is really hard because it is in our nature to want to protect them from pain, right? We do everything in our power to keep them from pain. And I know for me, like if I see Mila cry about something or something happened that hurt her feelings, and you immediately want to fix it and make it better. But I have to stop myself and tell myself, this is her golden nugget. Don't take it from her. Don't try to interfere with, like you said, building the resilience. And that's
Hello, hello, check, check, check. Hello, hello.
in this age. So, no, I 100% agree with you.
Like this Sochcast? Tune in for more with the Sochcast app from the Google Play Store.
Because these emotions need to move through our body. And when we don't allow them to move through our body, they get stuck. And then they create patterns that don't serve us. So it's in our best interest, actually, to allow these emotions to move through us, although uncomfortable. So what do we stand to lose when we try to control everything and we lose this tolerance for discomfort? So what do we lose when we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and we armor up or try to control things?
Yeah. So, you know, when we use these numbing mechanisms, we numb out the pain, we numb out the discomfort and the hurt, but we also numb out that joy and the connection and the beauty. You can't just numb out the bad stuff. That's the kicker, right? When you numb out everything. And so we start to lose the things that we want. And like you, growing up, created my own numbing mechanisms and then started to recognize that as I got older and more so in romantic relationships, started to recognize that I was not able to form deep connection with people at a certain level. They could connect with me, but I was not able to be vulnerable with them. I carried these masks with me and it was difficult. And so when you start to recognize that you're not experiencing the richness and fullness that relationships can provide. And I think in all honesty, it wasn't until I became a mother and had Mila and started to see a different kind of relationship and the true vulnerability of what it should feel like, that it got really clear for me that I was armoring up in almost every area of my life. I was trying to avoid, the uncertainty and the fear and the shame and the anxiety in most of my relationships and trying to, perform, right? I think I put on and Brene Brown, who is really a world-renowned professor in vulnerability. Right. She talks about the methods and why we armor up and that we are striving for perfection, numbing out. And this is a really interesting one. When we disrupt joyful moments by a dress rehearsal of tragedy. So meaning, we might be having a really beautiful moment with our child or hugging them and just having that snuggle. And then all of a sudden, a tragic moment runs across your mind that something might happen to them or something might happen to you. And that's because we're scared to feel that joy. We're scared that when something good, when it's so good, we always expect something bad to happen. And when we do that, we break ourselves of truly being in the moment.
I love what you said there. That is so true. Even from my experience, I found, joy, what you mentioned, joy. And there's a difference between joy and happiness. The way I see it, happiness is related to something happening on the outside. You get a promotion, you get a raise, or, something great happens in your day and you're happy. And then the next moment you're not happy because something not so good happened. And there's this roller coaster ride between happiness and pain, whereas joy, I find, is far more internally generated and stable, right? And from my experience, I found joy through gratitude and gratitude through emotional pain. And so now I actually welcome and I cherish a good cry these days. I find it very cleansing. And, I do remember the first few times I opened up with complete vulnerability. I thought I was going to die. I thought something really bad was going to happen. And it was very scary. But by just being there and saying I'm going to go through it and surrendering, and by feeling that much, what actually happened was, like you mentioned, a much deeper connection to all of life, gratitude, and a connection to source, consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, right? This immense, beautiful experience that we're getting to live as spiritual beings in a human body, but actually getting to feel that like down to every cell. And I don't think I ever felt that before going through some of these really difficult emotional experiences.
No, absolutely. And, I think as we talk about divorce and these different things that happen in our life that we feel shame from, right? I know for me, when I was going through my separation and this process, there was a lot of shame around it for me. And I just literally avoided seeing people because I didn't even want to talk about it or admit it. And I started to realize when I lived in that arena of silence, the shame grew. It wasn't until I could be honest with myself and then find the right people to be vulnerable with and share it with them. And until I said it out loud, I'm getting a divorce, the shame just started to dissipate. And it's said the shame cannot live when you talk about it. That's why sharing with each other is so powerful. Not about being vulnerable with everybody, but start small with one person that you really trust. And when you do that, it starts that process of release that you're talking about, right? Like the physical release, because it physically harbors in our body. And that's where things, again, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all start to get lighter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you said about the fact that you don't have to be vulnerable now with every single person, right? There's again some discrimination there, and that we need to know where our safe spaces are to show up with our complete rawness and everything, where we can be held and where we can feel that's a safe space to do that. And that's a good place to start. I think, I so understand that.
So do you think spirituality is a necessary component for stepping into the unknown with the sense of openness and resilience and curiosity?
From my experience, it has definitely been a big part of my experience. And I know this can work for many different people in different ways. You can experience the expansiveness of creation through nature. it doesn't necessarily have to be through a religious pathway or anything like that. You can even find it in a rock, according to me. I mean, it can be anything that inspires you to go beyond the self, right? But for me personally, learning about the multidimensionality of us as humans has come through my training as a yoga teacher and a therapist, and being on this journey for some time now. And that experience has equipped me with some tools and a set of understanding, which I use as a basis to kind of navigate a lot of these areas and to be more open and less fearful and brave. The more I tap into spirit, the more I am able to let go of trying to control outcomes. And instead, I am able to direct my body and mind with intention. And I begin to get a small glimpse into the magic of being here on earth and this opportunity that we've been given to literally create anything we want to. And I go with the flow instead of trying to control the external. I try to stay present with what is going on within me and what I want to create in each moment. And I think when I look back, a lot of that understanding came for me from this concept in the Vedas where, the way we look at the mind and body and the soul is the soul being the director of this life. And the soul is traveling in this chariot, which is our body. And the chariot has the rider, who is the mind. And the chariots are being pulled by the horses, which are our senses. So when we allow just our senses and our emotions and our minds to direct the show, we're really not moving with intentionality. And our soul, that's the passenger in this journey, is kind of completely ignored in the process because nobody's paying attention to what the soul really wants. And so I think this process of just understanding that, I have a soul and that this soul has a purpose is really powerful, because then I begin to understand that I need to listen to what my soul is trying to tell me. And then I begin to understand where my emotions or my, habitual patterns or all these other things kick in to distract me along the path. And then I can actually use my mind to direct where I put my energy and my focus. So just having this basis of understanding this has been extremely powerful for me. What about you, Felicia?
Like this Sochcast? Tune in for more with the Sochcast app from the Google Play Store.
So I agree with you. I think whether it's a process that you're seeking to connect with spirit and seeking this, or through this process, it happens. For me, I also am a therapeutic yoga practitioner. I've studied much of these different philosophies and practices over the past 13 years. So that has always been a part of my life. However, like I had mentioned, I think when difficulty arises, this is where you're tested. So for me, of course, during my divorce and during this was a time that I really had to go back to my books and some of the things I hadn't really, I had maybe forgotten, because that happens, go back and revisit it, reconnect with these parts, these principles, this essence, reconnecting with my physical body to get a deeper understanding of what's happening spiritually as well. And there is a daily practice. And I know we're going to, our next episode is going to be about this, but as people want to explore deeper ways to connect with spirit, there are small things that we can do every day that will start to enhance that connection. And, whether you follow a certain religion or it's prayer or whatever that might be, some of the principles are very universal to all. So I think that starting that day-to-day process with simple steps, daily steps that can be journaling, that can be quiet time or meditation, that can be just mindfulness practices through our life that start to help us get in tune with who we are and our essence and our intuition. And, as we quiet down the outside world, we start to hear our own voice. And that is spirit. That there is no differentiation in that. That is what we're talking about.
And this is a lifelong journey, right? I remember starting my practice many years ago as well. I think, it's been a long time.
It is.
And
it is. Yeah.
It's amazing to see how this journey unfolds. And like you said, things you may have read years ago come back, and there's such a richer and deeper meaning through our own experience. So there is no better way to learn than through experience. And I think, but having this basis and this foundation is a great place to lean on for support.
Absolutely. And these are tools, right? These are tools that we get to keep in our toolbox for life. We get to share them with the people that we love, that it's not only for when things get difficult, but for you to use at all times. I think we've talked about this earlier, but this disconnection from our true selves doesn't happen in these relationships. And it doesn't, my disconnection didn't happen in my marriage. It happened way before. The marriage was just the mirror to show me how disconnected I was. So then it's about going, okay, we hit a certain spot and we recognize how far off our true path we've come. And then you make that decision.
Right.
I want to get back on. I don't want to keep going down this road, that awareness of it. And then we start to use these tools, and change happens. It happens small, it happens big, but it is lifelong. So it's not this rush to get to the top of the mountain. It's a constant journey through the forest to see and play with these tools. Some may work better than others for you, but that's it. You just get to play with them and then be aware of how you react to that. Be aware of how you react to that. And then you find ones that you really enjoy. And that's it. You just enjoy it. You feel deeper connections. You kind of take the pressure off yourself, because it is not the climb, right? I think that's the misconception. All of a sudden we hit some peak and we're like, full consciousness. It's not really what happens, right? We're going to have moments where, trust me, I fall back all the time, but I have triggers, right? So like, I know if I start to come up with these negative scenarios when things are good in my life, that's when I know I'm veering off my path.
I love it. I love it. I love what you said, that it's about play. And I think this is where we as adults get to be children again. If we can have that attitude that this is the game we're playing, and it can be fun. It can be fun. It doesn't have to be so serious, right? So what are some of these tools that we as adults can use to play?
Yeah. So, again, for me, I'm very much into breath work practices. I like to work with the physical body. So movement, for me, and being in nature are tools that work well. Journaling. just even simple awareness, noticing that if you're doing something or you're talking to someone, practicing being fully present and listening and not thinking about all the other things you have to do and being distracted. Maybe give yourself 1 hour where you don't pick up your phone and you're doing just what you need to do without any other kind of distractions that are coming in. These small practices not only help us focus, but it is about being present and feeling everything that comes up, right? Feeling, because a lot of times, I did this really short course the other day, and it was interesting because they said when we pick up our phone to scroll social media, it's because it's a distraction from something that's made us feel something we don't want to deal with at that moment. So whether it's the feeling of loneliness or the feeling of not being a part of something or the feeling, whatever it might be, but how many times do we pick up our phone to get distracted from the moment?
Right. And I want to make an important point here that yes, it's important to feel the feeling, but we're not recommending that now you have to sit in that feeling forever, right? The feeling, literally, when we allow ourselves to feel it, it literally takes 6 to 10 seconds to move through our body if we're present enough and aware enough to allow it to move through. So and I think what keeps us stuck in that feeling is the story that we've attached that keeps repeating constantly in our minds to make the situation alive even far after it's over. So one discipline that I keep and that works really well is that I will repeat a story only 3 times. And if I'm doing it more than 3 times, I need to stop.
Okay.
Because it's not about the story.
That's right.
Right.
These stories, and that might be another episode. We do the stories we tell ourselves, because that is such a robust topic, and so many of us live our lives based on stories and not based on truth. So yes, it can command our attention and take up so much time in our life. So I think you're correct. Moving through the feelings, just allowing them to pass through us. Recognize them and let them pass. Recognize them and let them pass. The more we practice this, the easier it becomes. So, Shivani, how has deepening this connection with spirit impacted other areas of your life?
Similar to what you had mentioned, definitely deeper and more authentic relationships, more creative energy. I find myself being able to just have a more expansive, open, limitless view to life where anything is possible. More compassion and empathy for others. I feel a lot more deeply now. And because of that, I have to actually, be conscious about what I expose myself to. So I literally cannot watch any violent TV anymore. I cannot. It just affects me too much. So I feel more in general. And I don't feel the need to be any different than I am right now to be worthy of love and belonging. So that frees me up to show up, whether it be in a work setting, at home, or with friends, just more authentically and unconditionally too, with the attitude of, hey, what can I give or contribute here versus what can I take to feel more whole? And every day is a day to practice. Some days are better than others. But I think even in that, I try not to be hard on myself or expect to get it right all the time. I know I am going to make mistakes, and that's okay. I can just take responsibility and choose to connect versus disconnect and numb out. And that choice is always there.
Oh, that's beautifully said. Beautifully said. I think again, and part of the fun of the process is to see the evolution of how this starts to infiltrate in this person for this person and this for this. We're just who we are. We show up in our lives and we let ourselves be seen by others. And that allows us to live more fully.
Mm-hmm.
Like this Sochcast? Tune in for more with the Sochcast app from the Google Play Store.
How has this impacted your life? I know you're very in a creative space right now, and how has this impacted your creativity and in what you're doing?
So it's so funny because for so much of my life, I took myself to be a very logical person, an analytical person. And I would always tell myself, I'm like, I'm not really creative at all. And I liked to do creative things. I would allow myself to do like really, oddly enough, I like to make gift baskets, right? It's like one of those things I enjoy doing for people. So for birthdays, I would let myself have these little pockets of creativity in my life. So I would do all this very kind of business analytical stuff, but then like I could make a gift basket and that brought me a lot of joy. But I'd always, because I was so numbed off from who I was, it didn't breed creativity. My life, it did not. And now that I've been on this journey and I've started to remove these masks and remove these roles and the must-haves and the should-haves and I've started to realize that I am really creative, and I'm really creative in a lot of different aspects of my life. And I have a lot of different interests, and it shows up. And it was like the minute I started to really unravel this tightly weaved concept of who I thought I was, all of these really beautiful things began to bloom. And it's so neat to see. It's like I get to relearn about myself. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm actually really good at this. That's neat. I had no idea. Yeah. And so this story that I told myself that I'm not a creative person, and it was the opposite. And there is a space for this stuff to bloom. And, even as simple as like playing Legos with Mila, that was not something I would have seen myself doing, but it's even like, hey, I'm really good at, like, there's things that I recognize in small ways, like, okay, that's pretty cool. And I start to see new things that I'm interested in that bring me joy and fulfillment. And so, and like you said, then you get to share it with the world. So yeah, it has showed up for me it's been a process, but it's neat when it begins to unfold and you recognize it and you go, okay, never saw myself doing that. But there you go.
Beautiful. So what practice do we have for our friends today, and how can they begin to practice vulnerability?
So, as we've talked about, vulnerability is tricky. And the idea is that we don't want to just be vulnerable with the entire world. We want to use discernment around it, especially as we're starting this process with whom we practice vulnerability with, because of course it can be risky. We're exposing ourselves emotionally. There's uncertainty. So where we're going to start today is a practice with being vulnerable with ourselves. Because look, it's freaking hard. We want to be open and honest, but we have to start somewhere. And the best place to start is with us. So if you are in the position to do this, you can write this down right now. If you're not, please come back to this episode and you can do this practice at another time. But it's a series of 4 questions that we're going to start with. So question 1 for you to ask yourself is, what do I want out of my life? What do I truly and honestly want out of my life? And when you ask yourself these questions, remove the masks, remove the roles of who you think you are. Just allow yourself to show up as you. What am I not getting right now? What am I not getting in my life? How am I or other people in my life blocking me from getting where I want to be? And what am I holding back? What am I holding back from myself, from the world that maybe you want to share? What is that something that sparks inside you, but you've not really been ready to put it out into the world yet? So as we go through this practice and we start to ask ourselves these deeper questions and can just get honest, get real with who you are and what you want, this is the practice of vulnerability with ourselves. And we start to uncover our true voice, our true nature. And through this practice, we create an environment, even if it's just with our self relationship, we start to create an environment of honesty. Then you can take these questions and you can sit with them, create a quiet space. You can meditate on them. And then next begin to analyze. How can I work on this? Can I create a game plan to make improvements? And what would that look like? As we start to create these steps and we start to create this type of relationship with ourselves, this practice you'll see will begin to grow. And as it starts to grow within yourself, you might then find one trusted person that you start to practice with. You might have this one person and you both share a vulnerable story with each other. Then you might find a group or a few people. Then it will grow into maybe a personal community. It could be the Lioness Pride community. It can then grow into a wider community and then, of course, the world. And now we're living it. But again, allow yourself to move through this process because that's what it is. It's a lifelong process. So do it with patience and understanding and allowance to just move through it and feel where you are. So,
sister, I love it. So we hope you all enjoyed today's episode. We are all in this together, doing the best we can. So please be kind to yourself. And we'll see you next week, where I think we're going to be taking you all through a daily practice, right?
That's correct. So how to really create a daily practice to really implement some of the tools on vulnerability that we talked about today.
Amazing.
Yep.
Bye,
all right. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week.
Between the Sheets, I'm your host, Anil Srivatsan. What were the crossroads of life?
That's tough for me.
What was your decision?
My interest is going towards politics. I want to do something for India.
Oh, okay, Bhaiya. Thank you very much.
But how will I decide who's right and who's wrong?
Listen to your heart.
I love your show, and actually I've solved a big problem of mine today, just in 10 minutes. I just heard one of your lines that just stick to your decision and think of the consequences, and if the answer is yes, then just go for it.
Guys rock. Thank you, Anil.
Thanks, people.
Actually, I'm 18 years.
Well, I wanted to tell you I've just fallen for your voice. Actually, I'm 15 right now.
Well, I'm talking about where you would like to get naughty.
Rooftop, a sea. I will play everywhere.
I'm like really choosy sort of stuff.
Anil, did you hear that? Yeah, I really like the program. Where are you, Anil?
Between the Sheets, just you and I.
Tune in every night at 10 p.m.
My name's Felicia Danani.
Hi, and I'm Shivani Malhotra.
As two Indian women, one born in the U.S.
and one born in India,
and both of us from culturally charged backgrounds. We came into our marriages with the intention not to fail. But when we were faced with reality, we had to look inward.
Our motive is to deconstruct generational cycles and conditioning around divorce. Divorce is not an ending, but a change in the relationship. It does not have to follow old stigmas. It can be whatever you want it to be based on your intention. This is our life guide to a conscious divorce.
Welcome to the Lioness Pride podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lioness Pride podcast. Last week, we talked about how the problem is never really the problem, and that in relationships, they're really a mirror to ourselves and really showing us the areas and the spaces that we still need to work on. So instead of playing the blame game, it's about turning that reflection back onto ourselves and looking inward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, Shivani, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. So, like you were saying, Felicia, we really hope we could inspire a new curiosity into what's happening in your own relationship. And so, in today's episode, we wanted to dive a little bit into whether a relationship ends with a divorce. Some of you may have heard of Sadhguru, who says, and I'm sure we all feel this intuitively, that intimate relationships leave a memory. And sexual relationships have the maximum impact in the amount of memory they leave behind, not just in our mind, but in our body and down to the cellular level. Now, add that to that beautiful wedding ceremony in front of all your family and friends, having children together, starting a business together, maybe, and all the other intimate moments shared between two people. That's a lot of memory. Not only that, but on a higher cosmic level, we all are interconnected energetically. We are but one thread in the web of life, all bound together. And so, what we do to the web, we also do to ourselves. So, we can sign that piece of paper which ends the marriage legally. And two people can even decide they never want to see each other ever again. But is that really the end, Felicia? What do you think?
So I think that I think you put it so beautifully that relationships are we're connected, whether we like to believe or we might have made some physical separation. So no, I don't think that just because we sign papers or we get divorced or we break up with a partner, that things end. I think that essentially our relationships change, and through that, they just might not look the same, but we still have some sort of connection to them. So I know, like you and myself, we have children with our exes. So our relationships have just developed into a new dynamic, and that we are still absolutely connected, not just by our children, but by our past memories and by what we had built before. And now that love just shifts and looks different, which comes with a different type of acceptance. So I think it becomes interesting because I know we both have our own life experiences from our parents that have showcased that for us. And we've seen how through our own parents' difficulties in their marriage, how things changed and shifted for them. I know for you, you had mentioned in the past that your dad, that he only had a peaceful moment since your parents' separation after your mom had passed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, they never spoke to each other after they separated. But he did spend 10 minutes with her alone for the first time in, I think, probably 20 years when she passed. And I wasn't in the room. He was there alone with her. But I'm pretty sure that he asked her for forgiveness and told her that he was sorry. I think I even noticed that he may have cried when he came out of the room. So even though all that time had gone by, he was still looking for a peaceful resolution, which he had never had with her since they separated. When my mom was alive, I would tell her that she was spending so much of her energy and time thinking about him. So what was the point of the divorce, really? She repeated the same stories of blame that just made her angry. And I can't say for sure, obviously, but I do believe that she was carrying so much unresolved pain and anger in her heart that her body had neatly packaged it into breast cancer. I may, I know it sounds a little tragic, but the reality is that our hearts are fragile and we all need love to heal. If it's not the love we're receiving from others, it's the love we give ourselves through forgiveness and compassion. But ultimately, that is where that heart expansion comes from anyway. So, in their example, as is for many, I think, nothing ended. Things changed form. And I think how they change is our choice because at the end of the day, love is an energy, anger and hate is an energy. It's we're just taking one form of the energy and transforming it into the other. So it's all the same energy, you know.
Wow. And you put it so beautifully where I think that's something to understand, right? So we may have anger and resentment towards our partners, but we have choices and we have a choice to release that and let it go. We have a choice to change it into something else, or we have the choice to hold on to it. And if we hold on to it, it can then change into something else physically, like you had mentioned. And that's where a lot of different ailments come from, is by holding on to things that really are not serving us. Through our stories and through our anger and through our pain and hurt. And so there is an importance to be aware of how we're allowing that to still stay in our life, because just because someone walks away or the door is shut or the papers are signed, that doesn't mean that that energy is still not connected to us.
Absolutely. It's all about energy, right? And it's how we're transforming that energy and hopefully into something with a higher expression would be the way to go, I believe, and that is something that is our choice. And choose wisely is what I would say to everybody out there who's in a situation where they may be feeling, really angry at somebody. But just look for the opportunity to transform that story into a learning and into a moment of healing and growth. Felicia, I'm really interested to hear about your parents. I know you mentioned that they did turn things around in a positive way. And I'm really interested to know how their relationship has evolved over time to the point where I think you said they both live under the same roof now. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's so wonderful.
Yes. So, my parents divorced when I was young. So when I think I was about 7 or 8. And at the beginning, it was not pretty. It was very ugly. There was a lot of other people involved and family and friends. And so there was what I just remembered it being a lot of anger and hurt and crying and chaos. And so having seen all of that, and that lasted for years, and they didn't necessarily have, what we're talking about today is a conscious divorce or conscious relationship. There was a lot of difficulty and a lot of turmoil. And my father did remarry, and that also created difficulty and turmoil. But it wasn't until my brother and I got a little bit older, until I think we started to maybe have relationships of our own. And my mom also then had a partner, and there was just a shift. I think it was just almost tired of being angry, and they over time slowly allowed things to let go, and they really began to come together. I think part of it was too is that my brother and I were not really going to pick who we spent holidays with, how we did things. It was like, hey, we're having this get together or this birthday party. Everybody's invited. Who wants to come? And I think there just came a point where everybody was like, why are we fighting? This can work out nicely. And everybody felt their own place of belonging. And so over time, it's been nice to see that with my own eyes and experience that over the past, I would say, 8 or 9 years. And then recently with COVID, my dad was divorced again. And during COVID, my mom, that's just how circumstances happened, is now back under, we're all kind of living under the same roof together. So my parents, who have been divorced for 25 years, are now living under the same roof. And it's, yeah, it's pretty funny, but interesting and beautiful that they can still have this kind of synergetic relationship where there is a caring and an acknowledgement of each other without there having to be expectations and difficulty. And there's really no hatred or no, they can kind of laugh about it now. I think you maybe get to a point in your life, or they have, where they're in complete acceptance of what has transpired to get them to where they are today.
Like this Sochcast? Tune in for more with the Sochcast app from the Google Play Store.
So it is really beautiful. It's, we joke around about it that it's a pretty great reality show. But and then of course there's Andrew and I and Mila, and we say it's the best reality show, and it all revolves around a 4-year-old. The love of a 4-year, all the love that everybody has for the one little girl. So it is very interesting because we start to really shed the labels and shed the past and the things that didn't serve us. And you kind of go, yes, they happened, but look at all the stuff we would miss out on, right? All the things that if we harbored that anger and if we held on to what everybody says should be, could be, all of this stuff, look what we would have missed out on. So it has been a really beautiful example for me, especially going through my own divorce now and co-parenting and